Good evening, Saurav. Good evening, City Express. So, in the last class, we have discussed about that part, and I told you I'll send the PDF, but PDF was not prepared till then today, so I was not sent. But tonight I will send. Sure, some PDF I will send tonight. The topics which I have taken in the last class, they are yes, these one: human development, social issues, health and education, positive discrimination. In these topics, PDF I have to provide. Migration, gender issues, social structure and demographic trend I have already provided. So I will provide that. सर बॉन्ड चैप्टर में एन्युटी वाला कॉन्सेप्ट समझ में नहीं आ रहा है. Sort of just send me that part as a screen. Take a pic and send it to me on Telegram. I'll see it. Okay. On Telegram, people generally do not ask a doubt. They ask other questions. Ki, sir, where I can find this thing or that thing. So I'm not able to answer those questions because even I do not have exactly idea of where the things are being placed, because I'm basically concerned with what? Basically concerned with the study part, right? The lectures part. So apart from lecture, I have very little information and I rely only on Ashokji for those information. So better if you have any other question which is related to apart from economics, right, of your syllabus of grade B, you should better to ask Ashokji only. But if you have a question related to the topics, you can send it to me. I will answer. Good evening, Nishtha. So today, uh, this part we have to take commercial banking. Commercial banking, we'll start from here. Though I have explained few things, but in a running, I will explain. Then we will go to this flow. We will go to this flow from here to here, right? We will go to this flow, and other part which is pending, that is agriculture sector, services sector, right? And globalization. Though apart from the globalization, we have done these topics, but globalization and its impact on Indian economy, that is one topic we have to take. So I will take it. Yes, Vinay Srivastava. ESI and ARD. Good evening, Vikal. What is ARD? I'm bad in economies. Despite being a teacher of economy, I'm bad in economy. So please let me know what is ARD. Agriculture and rural development. Yeah, I will take agriculture and rural development. I will take that part. For NABARD specific topics, I will take it. In the NABARD special classes, I will take those topics. So, So this is a broad classification of financial system. And when I'm saying financial system, I am talking about organized part only. Though there are in the unorganized level, there are money lenders, other instruments are being used, chit funds, all these things. So they are also part of the financial system, but they are all informal way of lending and depositing and doing the financing and all. So we are not concerned with that. We are concerned with the organized part of financial system, the regulator part, financial intermediaries part, right? Though if you want, you can add financial institutions also, right? So under the financial institutions, microfinance institution, all these things we generally discuss, right? Third is financial market part. Okay. Vikalp Nabard, okay. Vidishu, good evening. Vinay, okay. Chetan, sir, I have a question regarding the tax abolishment. What will happen if government abolish the taxes? On YouTube, there are so many who are telling that it will create economic growth. Actually, they are saying that it will create money in the hands of people and it will create a purchasing power of the people that would create a growth. At the same time, black money earned by the people will also be used by them as they do not have to show to the government. But it is like that if only abolish the taxes, then the government also wouldn't have income sources, as the taxes are the greatest source of government income. YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. Right. YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. For me, I don't want to say because I also use this platform, but unfortunately, sometimes these platforms like YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram, they become a public toilet, right? Unfortunately, it should not be there, but unfortunately, there is a huge false information, rhetoric, all these things are being there, right? So sometimes it seems like a public toilet where anybody can come and anybody can do the shit, right? So unfortunately such kind of the thing. But regarding the tax abolishment, uh, even Subramanian Swamy, renowned economist and a lawyer, he also suggested government to abolish not taxes but income tax. He suggested to abolish the income tax, but he has not suggested to abolish all the taxes. Right. So abolishing the tax completely, there are only few idiots who can suggest such kind of the nonsense thing. I don't know, means if you are from this subject, how you can say such kind of the thing, ki abolish the tax completely. It is absolutely nonsense. Tax cannot be abolished absolutely, right? Some tax can be removed, and government in past has removed certain taxes. Government even has went down the certain taxes. For example, in the case of corporation tax, government has bring it down. So sometimes if you will give the tax relief, definitely that is going to that money is going to available with the people. If government is not going to collect that amount in the form of tax, then definitely that money is going to available with the people, and people can use that money for both purpose, either for consumption purpose or in the form of saving come investments, right? So to convert the savings in the investment, government already provides lot of relaxations. For example, income tax section 80C and 80D, they provide lot of rebates if you are going to put your savings in the form of investments, right? So if we want to discuss that thing, ki whether the abolition of tax can push the economic growth, it is absolutely nonsense. You cannot abolish the tax because it is the source of revenue for the government, right? What kind of the growth you want if you do not have a revenue tax? If government is not going to have a tax revenue, how the government is going to fulfill the requirement for the armed forces, right? Where for which growth you want? You want to grow under Pakistan or China, or you want to go under the government of India, under the Indian flag? You have to decide. right? Those people who are saying that ki abolish the tax. So for armed forces, which is a significant part of entire government expenditure, from where you are going to do this thing. And in your country, each and everyone is not capable of paying the taxes. There are a lot of people who spend their entire life and they are never being in the tax net. They never paid the GST, they never paid the income tax. But those people need government support, right? Those people need a government support who are living in extreme poverty. How government is going to help them? When government have to create a certain kind of the social infrastructure, how government is going to create the social infrastructure like government hospitals and education centers, how they are going to construct? For them, they need a resource, right? So those morons who are saying that ki abolish the tax and it is going to what? It is going to create a what? Economic growth. I'll tell you one story. There was a kid and he was playing game. He was playing video game on his mobile, and so all of a sudden his father came and he just slapped him. He just slapped him and he said that कि दिन भर गेम खेलता रहता है, कुछ पढ़ाई कर ले, right? कुछ पढ़ाई कर ले. So all of a sudden he got angry and he said कि okay, I can't do anything with this man right now. He's my father and I'm completely dependent on him. So I have to study. So he just put it down his game and he opened his book for the study. And all of a sudden light gone, right? So there was what? There was a dark and his father came with the lamp, and under the lamp he started studying. And when he was studying under the lamp, he started thinking, what kind of the system we are living? See, people are not able to get the electricity properly, right? There is a lot of corruption. Government is not able to provide us the electricity. Fine. So I have to do something. So what I will do, I will study very hard, and after studying very hard, I will get selected, and then I will take all the corrupt people and I will push them like this. And when he said like this, he actually pushed the lamp, right? He actually pushed the lamp and lamp broken and he got beaten from his father. Kutai hui kaide se, right? So there are some guys who are lamp todu guys, right? There are some guys who are lamp todu guys. They are not going to do anything. Just they are going to broke the lamp. Fine. So these YouTubers and social media influencers, some of them, they are like that. They are talking in such a way, in a nonsense way. They are going to create hawa couple and they will make such kind of the nonsense thing. And the innocent people who do not have an idea, right? For example, you are paying the tax and you are seeing the receipt of 18% tax, 28% tax. So you are concerned with that, but you don't know that there are a lot of people who are dependent on the government resources. So you are thinking as what? Yes, it is going to abolish the tax which I have paid. I can use that money, but you are not looking the bigger picture, right? So it's not fault of the people who are watching those things. It is the great responsibility on those people who are doing that thing. अरे कम से कम दिमाग तो लगा लो यार, थोड़ा तो दिमाग लगा लो एटलीस्ट. एक यूट्यूबर हो आप पब्लिक के सामने जा रहे हो, सो वॉट एवर द कंटेंट यू आर गोइंग टू प्रेजेंट, थोड़ा तो दिमाग लगा लो. बट बिकॉज दिस rhetoric is going to entertain a lot of people are going to push like and subscribe button, so that's why these things are going on, right? But you should not focus on such kind of nonsense thing. So this is the problem. YouTube is a great platform, but there are a lot of idiot people also. Okay, so this is the structure. So this such kind of the thing you need not to, even abolishing the income tax, it's not feasible for the government, right? Giving some concessions, government already provide a lot of concession, and see how many people in India they are paying the tax. 1% people are paying income tax act, और उसमें भी आप चाहते हो कि उसको हम abolish कर दें. ठीक है, अरे कहाँ के शेख चिल्ली हो यार तुम, मतलब what kind of the शेख चिल्ली you are talking absolute nonsense, idiotic kind of the thing. 1% people of India are paying tax right now, and still you are not trying to increase the tax base. People, government have to make an effort so that the tax base of country can be increased, right? In this country, there are a lot of luxury cars, means the luxury car owner have larger number than the tax paying people. Okay, there are more luxury car owners rather in comparison to taxpayer people. So you are living in that kind of the country where the list of the luxury car owner is greater than the taxpayers. Taxpayer, I'm talking about the income tax, right? And in such kind of the country, in such kind of the country, you are talking in such a manner. So leave that thing and do no need to go such kind of the videos, right? Where there is a Napoleon Bonaparte kind of the YouTubers are there, you should not focus on those things. Fine. So this is the structure of our financial system, and here this is our banking companies, right? So as per the lecture plan, what we have to go, we have to go for what? We have to go for banking system in India, and we have to focus on the commercial banking, right? So what commercial banking mean, right? So commercial banking, what commercial banking mean? Generally, when we say the commercial banking, it is exactly opposite to development banks, right? So basically, commercial banking can be divided into two parts. Commercial banking can be divided into two parts. One is merchant banking, and other is retail banking. Development banks are those banks who do not work for profit. Who do not work for profit. Fine. Whereas merchant banks and retail banks, these are the banks or the commercial banks who are doing the banking activity for the commercial purpose. That means they are working for the profit motive, right? They are working for the profit motive, whereas the development banks, they generally do not work for the profit motive, though sometimes they can earn the profit on the balance sheet. For example, Reserve Bank of India. RBI is not a bank which is functioning for the purpose of what? Making profits. But the operations which RBI do execute, sometimes the surplus is generated by the RBI. So RBI do not call it as a profit because RBI is a non-profit generating organization, right? It's an apex institution in the banking in India, right? And it's a central bank of India. Whereas in the case of France, their central bank play both role. That also play the commercial part of the role, and they also play the central banking role. So for France, the situation is different, but for India, RBI is not for the profit organization. However, sometimes not every year, they generate operating surplus. They generate operating surplus, and some part of their operating surplus they give it to the government. Sometimes 60%, sometimes 70% or 80%, whatever the operating surplus they are going to generate, some part of their operating surplus they transfer to the government, the name of dividend paid to GOI. Dividend paid to GOI. So sometimes students say that, sir, RBI is also paying the dividend like public sector companies. So public sector companies, they are for profit, right? RBI is not for profit, but during their operations, for example, lending of the money, RBI generates some operating surplus, and that operating surplus, some part of the operating surplus is being transferred to the government. So anyone who is generating the operating surplus, it doesn't mean that they are working for the profit. But if you are an organization which is working for the profit motive, then you will be called as a commercial bank. Okay, so you are a commercial bank. So under the commercial bank definition, we divide the commercial banks in basically two types. One is merchant bank, other is retail bank. Just give me a second. So, commercial banking can be divided into two parts. One is merchant bank and other are retail bank. Who are the merchant banks? How you can define the merchant bank? Answer please. How we can define merchant banks? I already explained about merchant banks while taking the financial market. So please let me know how you can define the merchant bank. Ones deal with top-notch customers. No, it's not like that. They are dealing with the top-notch customers. Who is the customer? Who is the customer here? If you are saying that ki once deal with the top-notch customers, who is that top-notch customer? Those who caters to corporation or companies. Financial assistance to corporations. Financial assistance to corporations. Banks which are involved in the process of IPO of an organization. That is their business. That is one of their business of merchant bank. That is one of their business. That's why they are involved there. Foreign investors, big corporations, etc. Okay. Anyone else? Anyone else? Anyone else who want to explain? Hmm? Banks which are involved in the process of IPO, foreign investors, big corporations. See, those banks who first of all not provide retail banking solution, and they are providing banking solutions to companies, right? Not an individual, but to companies, big corporations, and they work as an intermediary in the financial market. But first thing, for the merchant banks are not involved in the retail banking. They are not involved in the retail banking. Their work is what? Their work is to provide the solution to the corporations, right? Corporations, banking solution to the corporations. So the merchant banks are those banks who provide the banking solutions to corporations and not involved in the retail banking activity. In certain cases, maybe for example there is a bank ABC. So ABC have one arm, right, under the merchant bank, right? Merchant banking arm, and other is retail banking arm. So maybe that bank have two different subsidiaries. For example, HDFC. So HDFC Bank and HDFC Housing Loan. So there are other two, three names. So under an umbrella, maybe for example ICICI. So ICICI Securities. ICICI Securities, and other is ICICI Bank. Other is ICICI Lombard. So ICICI is a big group who is providing the different solution. So here the merchant bank, the ABC merchant bank unit, it is not going to provide retail banking. It is only focused for what? Merchant banking solutions. So they are providing the merchant banking solution. They will not provide the retail banking solution. Maybe they have their different arm from where they are what? They are providing the retail banking, right? For example, Citigroup runs their bank, and Citigroup also provide the merchant banking solution, right? Scam of 1992, right? So Citigroup was involved, not Citibank was involved. But generally they are known as Citibank. So actually it was an arm of Citibank which provide the merchant banking solution. And at that point of time, Citibank in India do not provide the retail banking. They are only providing the merchant banking solutions in India. So sometimes foreign countries bank will enter in the Indian market, but initially they are not focused in the retail banking, right? For example, Australian Bank. So Australian Bank have entered in the Indian market, but initially they was not providing what? They was not providing the retail banking solution. Later on, they feel that okay, market is good, and they have did their studies, and then they entered in the retail banking market. So whenever generally any bank who is a big bank, or they have their reputation in their country, or they have reputation in many countries, they are going to enter in particular country for the business. So initially they start with generally it's not a norm, or it's something not like that it's a mandatory condition, but generally they prefer to come in the merchant banking section. So while entering in the merchant banking section, you are not supposed to involve in the retail banking, right? And you can go through what? You can go through the system and get some idea. Moreover, to get the retail banking license, to get a retail banking license, it's a more difficult process. Getting the license for the merchant banking, it is little bit easier, but to getting the license for what? Retail banking, it's quite difficult in India. RBI has very stringent terms and conditions. So this is also another reason, right? So merchant banks means those who are providing the solutions to corporations, right? Corporations, banking solutions to corporations. So under that banking solution, they also help banks, or corporations to go in the market and generate some money, right? So all kind of the corporate solutions, right? That is provided by whom? Merchant banks. So that's why they are basically known as merchant, right? They are doing the trading activities. Neeraj is saying that provide financial and non-financial assistance to investor trading in the securities market. Absolutely right. But again, Neeraj, not to retail investor, not to retail investor, institutional investors. They do not provide the services. To get the services of the merchant bank for retail investor, it's very difficult. It's very difficult. And when you are having the huge assets, right? You are having the huge assets. You can have an assets manager, right? Who is going to manage that assets? And from individual, for example, some people say that Bharat means Rakesh Jhunjhunwala. He take the help of merchant banks. Yes, he take the help of bank, but not an individual. His firm is going to take the help of merchant bank, right? So it is not like that ki individuals are going to take the help of merchant bank, because they generally do charge very higher amount. So it is not possible for the retail investor or single investor to pay that exorbitant amount to merchant banks. So merchant bank services are basically available to whom? Who are able to pay, and they are institutional investors rather than retail investors. Obviously, sort of, because they are not in the retail banking. So until unless you are not in the proper retail banking business, you are not supposed to take the deposits. Sir, please explain if possible the recent HDFC merger. For that you have to wait. For that you have to wait. I will explain, but not right now. But I will explain when I will come to this part. I will come to this part specifically. Hmm. Hmm. Under the risk management will also can we discuss. Under the risk management we can also discuss, right? So HDFC and HDFC housing loan, they announced that merger, but they have to wait. They have to wait. RBI's approval is required, plus what? Plus CCI's approval is also required. So they announced their merger, but still some statutory uh, things they have to complete. So it's not merger is being done, merger is in process. Okay. So I hope the concept of merchant banking is clear, right? Merchant banking is clear. So when in this structure, when this in this structure of banking companies, we are going to discuss only what? Retail banking, right? Under the commercial banking, both will come. Under the commercial banking, both will come. But in this structure, basically, we are going to discuss the retail banking in India. Okay. Acha, by the way, what is universal bank? What is universal bank? What is universal bank? That provides services of all type of the customer. That provided services to all type of customers. No idea. Anyone else? Deepti, Nishtha, Chetan. Anyone else want to answer? Sir is not eating, you are eating. Sir, a bank which is both commercial and development bank, I guess. Not sure. Acha. Universal Bank is a bank which is going to provide all solutions under roof. Under one roof, all kind of services are available. For example, if you will go to where ICICI Bank, right? So ICICI Bank branch, a particular branch is going to provide all kind of the solutions. For example, retail banking, like opening account, deposit services, saving account, deposit, right? Loan. So apart from retail banking, they are also providing insurance services, right? Insurance services, right? Investment services, right? And for those who are what? Those who are institutional investors, they are also providing what? They are also providing some sort of solutions, but not exactly all the solutions of merchant banks. Some of the solutions are available, also available for institutional investors. But in general, when we say what universal bank, so when a bank is providing all kind of the financial solutions under one roof, then we called it as a what universal bank. So actually universal being bank means what? Here is the ICICI, and at that ICICI branch you can get the services of ICICI securities, ICICI Lombard, right? ICICI Lombard, ICICI Bank, all of them they are providing the services under one roof, right? All of them they are providing the services under one roof. Then we will call it as a what? Universal bank, right? And in fact, our ICICI Bank was first universal bank in India, providing all kind of the solutions under one roof. Fine. So then we will call it as a universal bank. Clear? Is it clear? Okay. Oh, oh, oh. Okay. So can anybody tell me why I have put SBI Group and Nationalized Bank in the separate category? Why SBI is not a nationalized bank? Why SBI is not considered as a nationalized bank? Or I am wrong, SBI is also a nationalized bank. Anyone want to provide the reason? So actually, Imperial Bank, the Imperial Bank, see, India under the British, India under the British was like this kind of the structure. So British India, there was a British India and princely states. So the India was have two parts. One is princely states, right? Princely states plus British India. So for British India, it was Imperial Bank which was working as a bank to the government, whereas Imperial Bank of India has established their subsidiaries in the various princely states. So in the state of Travancore. So in the state of Travancore, Imperial Bank of India has established a subsidiary. In the state of Hyderabad, they have established a subsidiary. So these subsidiaries were there, plus Imperial Bank of India was there in 1947. So government tried to pursue Imperial Bank, right? Government want to own the Imperial Bank, but Imperial Bank was not interested to be the part of whom? Imperial Bank was not interested for this nationalization process. And second thing, as per the Constitution of India, there was a right to property. So there was right to property, means the private property was absolute. Government cannot force someone to take over their property. So with this advantage, Imperial Bank of India was not in mood to be the part of whom? The government scheme and government bank, right? Then government of India has taken a stand, and government of India one by one, whatever the power of Imperial Bank, Imperial Bank, if you will compare Imperial Bank from 1921, Imperial Bank was established in 1921 and RBI was established in 1935. Okay, so if you will compare the power of both Imperial Bank and RBI from 1935 to 1947, if you will compare the power of both bank, RBI and Imperial Bank, so RBI's role was limited. RBI's role was limited to currency management, right? Currency management, forex management, whereas government bank, bankers bank, government bank, bankers bank, and to some extent supervision of banks in India was in the hand of whom? Imperial Bank. So at the time of independence, government was more interested in what? Government was more interested in Imperial Bank rather than RBI. RBI was nationalized in which year? RBI was nationalized in which year? 1st January 1948 or 1949? When RBI was nationalized? 1st January? No answer. RBI was nationalized. However, the first attempt made by the government of India was not for the RBI. The first attempt made for Imperial Bank, because Imperial Bank have larger assets than the Reserve Bank of India. So the government was interested more in what? Government was more interested in Imperial Bank. But Imperial Bank refused, and Imperial Bank was not interested to be the part of government's bank tag. Right. Then what government did after nationalizing RBI? RBI was nationalized on 1st January 1949, and immediately government has also passed Banking Regulation Act. So by passing this Banking Regulation Act 1949, what government did? Government curtailed all this power. Government bank, bankers bank, supervision, all this power of Imperial Bank was transferred to whom? RBI under this Banking Regulation Act. So through Banking Regulation Act, government has transferred the most of the power of Imperial Bank to whom? RBI. So RBI become more powerful, and Imperial Bank, by this bank, after passing of this Banking Regulation Act, Imperial Bank who have wide array of power from beginning, but after passing of this act, Imperial Bank was now merely a commercial bank like any other bank, and government is continuation government has further strengthened the RBI Act 1935 by making a lot of amendments, and government has given the role of bankers bank, government bank, all this role was given to whom? RBI, right? And now Imperial Bank was merely a commercial bank in India. Fine. So still Still, being as a only commercial bank, Imperial Bank of India hold large number of assets in India, and still it was the biggest commercial bank in India. And in terms of assets, still they have lot of assets. Fine. So government has set up All India Rural Credit Committee. All India Rural Credit Committee, and this committee was basically for what? For how to increase the availability of credit in the rural area. This committee for this purpose only, but committee has suggested कि bank like Imperial Bank, if it is acquired by whom? RBI. So All India Rural Committee want to expand the role of what? They want to expand the role of Reserve Bank of India, right? But Reserve Bank of India is not a commercial bank. It is what? It is a apex developmental institution, not apex development institution. But at that point of time, right now today is NABARD. But before the inception of NABARD, RBI was also apex development institution. So being as an apex development institution before inception of NABARD, so RBI have to play larger role in India in order to extend the rural credit, in India, right? So this committee has suggested that Imperial Bank of India must be acquired by whom? Imperial Bank of India must be acquired by Reserve Bank of India, right? And Reserve Bank of India is an institution, not a company, whereas Imperial Bank of India is a company. Third thing is RBI under RBI Act 1935. There was no such provision for RBI to acquire any commercial bank. So RBI cannot acquire Imperial Bank because there is no such law is there to allow RBI to do that. RBI is an institution which is going to work on the rules and regulations. Beyond that, RBI is not going to work. So under the framework of RBI's work, as per the law, there was no such kind of the thing, right? So that's why an special act was passed in 1955, and RBI was empowered RBI was empowered to purchase majority shares of Imperial Bank. And now it is not government actually who is going to acquire. It is not government, but who is going to acquire the Imperial Bank? Imperial Bank is going to be acquired by the Reserve Bank of India. So the management of the Imperial Bank was quite convinced that we can work under the RBI and we are not going to be under the influence of the government, but we are okay to work under the Reserve Bank of India. So that's why money is provided to the Reserve Bank of India, and Reserve Bank of India has acquired the Imperial Bank of India in 1955. 1st July 1955, the acquisition of Imperial Bank's majority shareholding was taken by whom? RBI. Government was minority shareholder, but majority shareholder was whom? Majority shareholder was Reserve Bank of India. So now Imperial Bank, which was working for British India, now it is a State Bank of India. Why? RBI has changed the name after acquiring the majority of the shares. Now, what about the subsidiary banks? Who are the subsidiary of Imperial Bank, and they are working in the different parts of India after independence, like working in Hyderabad, Indore, right? So, a lot of subsidiaries were there. 9 or 11 subsidiaries were there. So, RBI instructed SBI कि वो whosoever are subsidiary of Imperial Bank in different part, you can acquire them. So, what happened? Imperial Bank was acquired by whom? RBI. And this Imperial Bank has acquired subsidiaries of Imperial Bank, and these subsidiaries after acquisition, because Imperial Bank after acquisition by RBI, it become what? SBI, and these subsidiaries of Imperial Bank after acquisition by SBI, they become what? Associates of SBI. So SBI group is comprising of SBI plus associates, right? SBI and associates. Now government has changed his stance in 1960s. In 1960, government has changed its stance, and government said that we want to take more shareholding of SBI. We are interested, for example, at a point of time, 78% share was with RBI, and rest of 22% share was with GOI. But after 1960, government has changed its intention, and government said to RBI, we want to acquire more shares. So by the 1960, in this decade, government took majority shareholding of SBI from RBI, right? So government has purchased the majority shareholding of State Bank of India from RBI, not from private people. Not from private people. Whereas in the case of 1969 nationalization, and again the nationalization of what? 1980. Here 14 banks, here 8 banks, those who are nationalized, they are actually a private property or private bank, and that private property or private bank was acquired by whom? Government. So when government acquire any private property, then we call the term is nationalization. Nationalization of the property, right? So nationalization of the property, fine. So this is called as a nationalization. Whereas in the case of SBI, SBI's majority shareholding was with RBI, and government has purchased this shareholding from Reserve Bank of India, and Reserve Bank of India is also a government institution, right? Not a government, but government institution. So that's why we do not put State Bank of India under the category of nationalized bank, right? This is the reason. And even till the 1996, some shares of State Bank of India is with the RBI. Finally, by 2004, I'm not very sure this year, but most probably, I will check and confirm. By this year, the complete shareholding of SBI, which was with RBI, was given. Means by 2004, RBI do not have a single share of State Bank of India with themselves. Now, who hold the shares of State Bank of India? It's a government, LIC, and through public shareholding. So in that way, that SBI shares are available, fine. But RBI do not have any shareholding in that. Whereas those associates, gradually over the time, they are merged with whom? SBI. So still SBI known as SBI Group. So historical thing is there. That's why still SBI known as what? SBI Group, right? So I hope things are clear in your mind and differentiation between Nationalized Bank and SBI is clear. Any doubt or confusion? SBI is government owned bank. Government is an owner, right? Government is an owner, and this ownership of SBI, government took from whom? Government took from RBI. Government took this ownership from RBI, so that's why we can call SBI is government owned bank, right? In better word, public sector bank. But we cannot call it SBI as a nationalized bank. The term nationalization is used only when the private property is going to be taken over by the government, right? So we cannot call it as a nationalized bank. We can call it as a public sector bank. Fine. So you can call SBI as a government bank. You can call SBI as a public sector bank, but you cannot call SBI as a nationalized bank. Clear? Acha. See, I already explained small banks, payment banks, local area banks, regional rural banks, even cooperative banks. I already explained this thing. If you have not seen that lecture, go to your course. You will find I have discussed all these things in detail, right? So there is no reason to go for discussion on these topics again. I am not going to discuss, right? I'm not going to discuss again. You can go through those classes. You will find the detailed discussion on all of them. I have went for detailed discussion on it. But yes, when I will do the revision, the complete revision of the course, so during the revision I will brief you again about all those, but I'm not going to discuss in detail right now. Fine. I hope you are getting my point, because I already have spent lot of time and energy for explaining all these topics. So there is no point to do it right now, though during the revision we will take it. But I have not explained you about the SBI group and the nationalized bank differentiation. That's why I have taken a time and I have explained this thing also. Regarding the foreign banks, regarding the foreign banks in India, foreign banks are having in the existence since very inception of banking in India, right? So banks were established by foreigners only in India, right? So the Bank of Hindustan, right? So these all these banks were established by the foreigners in India. However, in 1969, when government has started nationalization, when government has started nationalization, government outrightly prohibited RBI to give license to any private or foreign financial company to establish bank in India, right? So the RBI's power to issue the license to private banks and RBI's power to issue license to the foreign banks to do the banking in India, that was prohibited by Banking Nationalization Act. So the Banking Nationalization Act, which nationalized 14 private banks into the government bank, under that act, the RBI's power to issue new licenses was seized. Right? However, after LPG reforms, and on recommendation of Narasimhan Committee, government has restored RBI's power to issue licenses for whom private as well as foreign banks. Right. So that's why when we say private bank in India, right? So public sector bank, one more category I have missed that one. Uh, Public sector banks and the private sector banks, right? Public sector banks and private sector banks. So private sector banks are also into category old private and new private. What old private means? Those banks who were established before this nationalization order. So there are the bank in India. They are private banks. In 1969, government said that these 14 banks, actually those 14 banks who have deposit of 50 crore or more. What was the order of 1969 banking nationalization order? So government has ordered those banks. What was given in that order? Those banks who have deposit of 50 crore or more, they will be nationalized. Rest of the bank will be remain private bank. For example, Karnataka Bank, right? Karnataka Bank. So Karnataka Bank was not having 50 crore deposit at that time. So Karnataka Bank was not in the list of nationalized bank and it was remain a private bank. Fine, it was remain a private bank. Okay, so those banks who was not being nationalized in 1969, they are considered as old private bank, because they didn't went for nationalization. Again in 1969, government said that ki RBI cannot issue new licenses. Fine. So from 1969 till then 1994, RBI has not issued any license to any new private bank. Fine. So when RBI has started issuing the licenses in 1994 again, they are categorized as what? New private bank, and those banks who have got the license before 1969 and they were not being nationalized, they are known as old private bank, right? Old private bank and new private bank. RBI refused to issue licenses to big corporations because of conflict of interest. Hence, you don't see Tata Bank, Reliance Banks, etc. But we are not discussing about the banking license right now. So this is the old private bank and new private bank. I hope the banking structure right now is clear. The structure of banking is clear. If you have any doubt, please let me know. Otherwise, I will move forward. When RBI issue the license to any bank, the first criteria to issuing the license is not about whether you are a corporate or not. RBI's criteria, the first criteria is ki whosoever is applying for getting a commercial bank license, that organization must have a prior experience of at least 10 years being as a financial institution, right? And their track record should be clean as a financial institution, and they do not have the third criteria, they do not have any direct influence of big companies who are doing business and known as corporates, right? So in that situation, if you are going to clear this first fundamental three condition, the first condition is the most important condition. You must have a prior experience of running that. So recently when the Bandhan Bank and IDFC Bank was awarded with the license of running a bank, both banks having more than 25 to 30 years of experience running a financial institutions. So it is not like that Tata and Reliance, it is all about you do not have an experience of running a financial institution. That's why you will be not awarded the license. But that is also true. RB do not want to give the license to what? Corporates, because corporates by misusing the loopholes of banking laws, they may divert the public's money for their own corporate benefits. And corporates are always ready to take the risk on others' money, right? And that high risking is going to completely questioning the reliability of banking system in India. And that's why RBI feel that it is not necessary or required to give license to the corporates who want to establish their bank. For small banks, go to detailed part of that lecture. I told that I'm not going to discuss it again. It's a kind of very elaborative question. You can go to the notes or you can go to the particular class when I have discussed small bank. All the details are available there. Okay, so Vidishu sir, please provide the PDF of syllabus detailed one. I already shared in the paid group. If you have not received that PDF of the syllabus, you can ping me on Telegram. I will share that PDF. Not this one. This is not complete. What the complete one I will share with you. Okay. So now we have to move what? We have to move from the structure of banking. We have to move the risk management in the banking. The risk management part in the banking we have to move, right? So first tell me what is risk management. What is risk management? Let me know in the comment. I have to take this call. Simply considering the worst scenario to save our fund in the crisis moment by taking early necessary step. So risk management is just simply considering the worst scenario. That's it. That's it all about the risk management. Just consider the worst scenario. Is it going to fulfill that risk management? Banks considering the future risk while allocating the credits. Hence it has structure of small, medium, and high risk allocation of fund. So banks risk management is limited to the credit given only, not other investments. It is limited to credit only, not other investments. There, for example, there is an asset of bank which turn to what? The assets of there is an asset of bank. Suppose bank have an asset, right? And that asset turn to NPA, non-performing assets, right? Non-performing asset. That asset turn to non-performing asset. Now bank can go for SARFAESI Act and apply the SARFAESI Act, and under the SARFAESI Act, bank can go for selling of those assets and recover the money. But when bank started attempting this thing, bank found that a lot of legal issues are being there. That asset which was put by the customer as a collateral, that asset is having lot of legal issues. The value of NPA is somewhere around 10 crores. The value of NPA is somewhere around 10 crores, but the legality involved here and the complexity of legality involved here may bank have to fight election in foreign, oh, sorry, not election, bank have to fight a case in foreign country like UK, right? Like UK. For example, banks are fighting case against Nirav Modi, right, in UK. But for a single bank, it is not possible because the charges are very high. The consortium of bank are there and the value of asset is very high. If the asset value is 10 crore and you have to fight the case in a country like rich country like UK, fine. So to fight the case, the cost is going to be involved somewhere around 20 to 25 crore, maybe more than that. So is it feasible to go and fight the case there? Is it feasible to go and fight case there where you are going to get asset worth of 10 crore and you have to spend somewhere around 20 to 25 crore? खाया पिया कुछ नहीं, गिलास तोड़े 12 आने. Is bad bank is going to acquire this 10 crore assets? And the bad bank also have to go for that legal issues. So whosoever, bad bank, good bank, commercial bank, any bank is going to see that legality, and there is a legal issues related risk. So legal issues related risk. So you should just not calculate only the credit related thing. You also have to calculate the risk which is related to the legal issues. Another thing, the interest rate related risk. Interest rate related risk. So if bank is going to increase or decrease the interest rate, and then bank have to see what will be the course of action by the Reserve Bank of India. So if SBI is thinking to increase the interest rate or decrease the interest rate, so SBI must have to calculate if we will increase the interest rate or decrease the interest rate, what will be the impact on the bank's financial health, right? Similarly, if RBI is going to increase the interest rate or decrease the interest rate, what will be the impact on our banking assets, right? And liabilities, what will be the impact? So the interest rate risk is also involved. Another risk, forex. Forex related risk. Bank provide FCNR, FCNR accounts. So FCNR account is being provided by whom? Banks in India, commercial banks in India, where banks are going to accept the deposits in foreign currency, and they also provide the interest rate in the foreign currency. So they are being exposed with what? The exchange rate related risk. So bank must have to calculate while offering the foreign FCNR, bank must have to calculate what interest rate he is going to provide, and under FCNR how much amount they are going to accept. So all these things are related to what? Interest rate related risk, right? Interest rate related risk, forex related risk, legal risk. So a lot of things. So when you are going to do a business as a bank, you have to calculate the possibility of risk of any of your business, right? So any of your business which is going to be conducted by you, before conducting that business, you have to calculate the possibility of loss, that is known as risk management. First, you have to minimize the risk, right? First means you must have to follow all those things which can prevent any kind of crisis. Number one. Number two, even after following all those possibilities, even we have followed all those things, which is going to allow us to minimize the risk. So we have tried very hard to minimize the risk. Now, even after trying to minimize the risk, if bank is now exposed to certain risk, bank first, in the first step, what bank is going to do? Bank will do all necessary steps. Bank is going to take all necessary steps which can prevent any risk kind of the situation. But even because uncertainties are always there in the future is based on uncertainties, and under that situation, if bank is going to face that uncertainty, then how the bank is going to react, that risk related issues. So all these things come under the risk management of a business. So in all dimensions, all directions where bank is doing the business, in all those directions and dimensions, the risk management is always there. Identify, evaluate. Hence, they hired the bank band for that purpose. See, do not use such kind of time. Banks are going to hire bad bank, right? It is bad bank is going to decide which asset they are going to take. It is not banks who are going to decide what they are going to shift to bad bank. It is a bad bank who is going to decide what assets they are going to take. Number one. Number two, but the interest rate is mostly dependent on the inflation of central bank. There is no such term inflation of central bank. Inflation is a one thing which central bank consider, right, while deciding the monetary policy, that is interest rate. But for example, if you will see last 1.5 year, inflation is continuously rising, but RBI has not increased interest rate even by a 50 basis point or 25 basis point. So it is not always true. You are anticipating if inflation is going to rise, RBI is going to increase the interest rate. So this is the anticipation of banks since last 1 year, but RBI has not increased the interest rate. This is the risk what I'm talking about. You are anticipating RBI is going to increase the interest rate, but RBI has not increased the interest rate. Even this time, the monetary policy banks are anticipating that RBI is going to increase the interest rate at least by 25 basis point, but RBI didn't. So this is what the risk calculation, na? Raj, go through the things thoroughly, not just over, right? Whatever you are studying, I think you are doing some courses related to finance part. You told me, I think in one class, you told me you are doing some CA course or something like that. I do not remember exactly, but what I'm able to recall is you are doing some course. So my strong recommendation and suggestion is that whatever you are doing, means if you are looking something, then do it completely, do it thoroughly, do it properly. It's not necessary to cover each and everything, but whatever you are covering, try to cover thoroughly, right? Half knowledge is dangerous than no knowledge. If you do not have a knowledge in that subject, that's fine, but if you have a half knowledge, and especially in this area, finance and legal, medical, finance and legal, these are the three fields where you have, if half baked knowledge, then it is very dangerous, right? Don't go for it. Okay, so this is all about the risk management. What is the main feature of the risk management, right? Just give me a second. यार क्या है, call. Oh, okay. Screen is buffering. Actually, I have to go somewhere right now. I mean, I cannot avoid it. So I'm so sorry. I have to wind up the session right now. Tomorrow I will start with risk management, right? And I will discuss in the detail. But right now I have to go. Still, I'm stuck on the screen. I hope you don't mind because just I have to go right now. Okay, so I will start this risk management tomorrow. Okay. Okay. Sorry and thank you for your cooperation. I will start discussion tomorrow. Thank you, Vidishi. We will discuss tomorrow the risk management. Okay.